What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to talk about how to break free from the chains of your past. Something I'm super passionate about is helping men realize that the way that they operate today has a lot to do with their past. And as men, one thing we need to get a lot better at is letting go of our past. One of my favorite quotes is, "Our past is a place to learn from, not a place to live in." And in today's video, we're going to go over some things to really help you maybe dig a little bit deeper than you have in a long time. But I know it's going to be so good for you and it's going to serve you so well, because I think the Lord is going to help you release some of the things that you are constantly holding on to, which is holding you back from a lot of the things that He wants to do with your life, in your life, and through your life. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. All right, let's dive into this concept of breaking free from the chains of your past. This is a topic that really God has laid on my heart pretty consistently over the past few months. And as I really dig into what this concept means, I find myself, I guess not really find myself, what I do. Okay, sorry. All right, let's talk about breaking free from the chains of our past. Now, this topic is something that I have really felt like God calling me to talk more about and to be open more about, simply because without doing this very thing, breaking free from the chains, I don't feel like I would be where I am today. And what I want for you watching this video is to be able to essentially draw a line in the sand and step over that line and step into a new version of yourself, a better version of yourself. More specifically, a version of yourself that God intended you to be. Because here's the thing, a lot of times we can't step into who God intended us to be because we are so focused on who we've been in the past. We're so focused on things that have gone wrong in our life. We're so focused on ways people have wronged us in our life, and we haven't broken away from those chains. And honestly, man to man, until you do so, you're going to struggle. You're going to be hurting. You're going to be in pain. You're going to be fearful. You're going to be uncomfortable. And I don't want that for you. I genuinely want to help you step over this line and become the man you know deep down you want to be. And so I think in order for us to do that, something that I had to do was break the chains. You see, I think we've heard of this concept before of generational curses, right? Breaking generational curses. And that's essentially what we're trying to do. Because here's another truth that is going to be a hard pill to swallow, especially if you're a dad. If you're a dad, your kids need you to break this chain. Let me say that one more time. If you are a dad, your kids need you to break these chains. Because the reality of it is, if you don't break them, now you're putting that on them, and it's going to be an aspect of their life that they're going to now have to work through because you never took care of it. Just like the things you're battling now is most likely things that were pushed down on you from your dad. And those were things that were pushed down on your dad from his dad, your grandfather, and so on and so forth. So we have this balance of generational curses or breaking the chains, same concept. And honestly, the same outcome needs to happen. It needs to be broken. It needs to be left behind. But how do we do that? Where do we start? How do we even go through the process of breaking the chains? Well, I think step number one is we have to acknowledge that there are deeper struggles and issues that we have as men. We have to take the mask off. We have to stop acting like everything's good, everything's okay, I'm happy, I'm satisfied, I'm content, when the reality of it is we're not. In fact, if we're being completely honest, maybe we're really none of those things. But we put on this front, we put on this persona that we want to act that way so other people view us in a certain way. See, that's called pride. That's called ego. That's called, like I said earlier, just wearing this mask of somebody that you're not really deep down, who you're not really able to be. So we have to acknowledge that, hey, there are things within my life, there are things from my past that force me to wear this mask that I would rather not deal with And then I would rather just act like everything's good. Well, I'll tell you what, if you keep doing that, like we talked about earlier, you're eventually just going to put all of this burden on your children. And if I'm being completely honest, that's not fair. That's not fair for you to do. And let's be honest here again, that wasn't fair for your dad or your parents or the people who raised you. That wasn't fair for them to do that to you. But here we are. So what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about these chains? Well, like I said, number one, I think we have to acknowledge that there are deeper issues going on here. Deeper struggles, deeper things that maybe nobody even knows about you. We have to acknowledge that. Okay, so after we acknowledge it, step number two, just based off of my experience, is you have to be willing to talk about it. And I'm not saying you got to go on social media and blast everything. I'm not saying you got to open up to all of your friends and family about all the deep struggles and things that you have going on. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is you have to find someone to confide in. You got to find someone to pray for you. You have to find someone you can be honest and open, whether that's a therapist, a pastor, a best friend. See, until you get this out of your system, out of your brain, out of your experience, until you get it out there, it will forever consume you. You have to stop suppressing it and just allow it to come up. But do it in a way, or do it to someone who you genuinely believe has your best interest at heart. And I'll be completely honest. If you're watching this video, I might not even know you. But if you don't have anybody, choose me. Let me be that person. Because here's the thing, I've messed up a lot in my life, and I've lived my life in a way at times in my past that I'm not proud of. And I have changed from my dad that I have more recently worked on breaking. So what I'm saying is nobody's perfect, and I don't judge myself. So if I'm not going to judge myself, I'm definitely not going to judge you. So you need to find someone that you can open up to. The next step, after you have acknowledged it, after you have talked about it, it's very simple and very straightforward. You have to commit to working through it. You see, what I do for a living is I coach men, right? And a lot of the men that I coach, some of the men that I coach, they are going through deeper struggles and issues and challenges. And a lot of the times early in the process, they don't realize those challenges are because of their childhood. It's all focused on the now. And I'm telling you, your challenges that you're going through, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your boss at work, whether it's a friend, whatever it is, the battle honestly isn't with them. It's with the things you keep suppressing, the things you keep pushing down and ignoring from your past, from your family, from your parents, from whoever raised you. See, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. That means your parents, whoever raised you, weren't perfect. And until we acknowledge that and really commit to working through the past and the history that is true for a lot of us, we're going to keep thinking that the fight and the battle and the struggle that we're in is with this person. It's with my spouse. It's with my significant other. It's my boss. It's my friend. It's this or that. When really, it's not it. They're the ones who unfortunately have to take it on, but that's not who you're fighting. That's not who you're battling. It's actually your past. So if you can learn to work through these things, if you can learn to open up about these things, if you can learn to accept and acknowledge these things, it'll only make this whole process better for you. And actually, I'm going to read something that I just found through my girlfriend found it in a devotional this morning, and she shared it with me, and it was perfect. But let me read this. It says, "We need to forgive others if we expect to be forgiven. A truth that says easy but does hard. Many of us can hold on to grudges much longer than we'd like to admit, and it's easy to justify that certain people don't deserve to be forgiven. It's important to remember that forgiving someone doesn't mean you're saying that what they did to you was okay, nor does it mean that the scars of that trauma are suddenly gone. Forgiving also doesn't mean reopening yourself to victimization. However, it does mean that you don't seek revenge. You leave whatever happened in the hands of God and you move on." So that's great. But here's the second part. I really want you to lean in on this one. Sometimes forgiving others isn't the issue. It's forgiving ourselves. Let me read that one more time. Sometimes forgiving others isn't the issue. It's forgiving ourselves. We have an easier time giving grace to others, but struggle when it comes to our personal slip-ups. And I pray that you hear this part right here. Remember that Jesus sets the standard for forgiveness, not us. And it's an even playing field. I'm going to read that one more time. Remember that Jesus sets the standard for forgiveness, not us. And it's an even playing field. God extends his forgiveness to us, and we are called to do the same for others and ourselves. No matter what we're holding on to, extending forgiveness is how we mirror the grace that we received. So as I read that, I want you to understand that for a lot of you, for people like me, for men like me, sometimes our struggle is not other people forgiving them. It's forgiving ourselves. It's allowing ourselves to move on. It's allowing ourselves to just say, here, God, I don't want to hold on to this anymore. I want to break this chain. I want to move on, and I want to move closer to you and build a relationship with you. And I want to have peace. I want to have joy. I want to have comfort. Well, I'm telling you right now, the only way to get that is by giving everything in your past, things you've done, things that were done to you, giving it to God, letting go of it, and moving on. And I think one really important thing here is remembering that that's not saying that everything that happened to you or things that you did are just over. It's not saying let's act like they didn't happen. Okay, but it is having this understanding and this kind of perception or perspective that I can't do anything about it anymore. I have to let it go. It's in the past for a reason. Remember, your past is a place to learn from, not a place to live in. So if we can do these things, if we can acknowledge that a lot of our struggles are from our past, from our parents, okay? If we can find someone to talk to and open up to about and start to just verbalize it. And then lastly, if we can commit to working through these things, being patient with it, understanding we're going to have good days, we're going to have bad days, but ultimately growth is hard and it's challenging. And this is one of the ways I feel as men, we need to grow. We need to be open. We need to be honest. We need to be vulnerable. That doesn't mean you're less of a man if you do that. It doesn't mean if you open up that you're not as manly as you think you are, as you want to be. No. In fact, the opposite is true. It means you're more of a man. It means you're willing to go through hard things in order to grow and move past the things that are holding you back from drawing the line in the sand and stepping into the person that you want to be, the person that your family wants you to be, and the person that God intended you to be. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Look out for more of these videos. If you guys want to connect more, if you have questions, comments, please comment below. Follow me on Instagram. But I love you guys, and I'm here to serve you. We'll talk to you soon.